away what happened and how it happened. When he passed away, how it happened. An interesting incident when he took his last breath and how they prayed his janazah. But I'll just touch your minds and my mind and everybody with a little bit. You know there was no janazah for him? Interesting, huh? Why? What is janazah? And that's why, but I've got to share it in this khutbah because we need the dua in a janazah. Janazah is a dua of forgiveness. You praise Allah, glorify Allah, darood on the Prophet ﷺ, and Allahumma akfir. And you ask Allah for forgiveness for the living, the dead, the present, and everybody. But there was no janazah. Most of the scholars say there was no janazah. Some scholars say, well, there was a janazah, but they didn't have no dua. Oh, a lot of complication. Well, not complication, a lot of interpretation. But the point I'm trying to get at is how important that last dua is for that person. Why there was no janazah for the Prophet ﷺ? Because he was sinless. His past and previous sins were forgiven. There's a good point, brother. Brother brought this one, shipping bodies to Pakistan and to other countries. Well, I think there are people who are in the dead import business and dead export business. You need to put them on to shipping dead bodies. That's another corruption people have. Should we ship the body? I'm like, you know the Prophet ﷺ when he died? Good the brother brought this to me. You know when the Prophet ﷺ died, one of the big decisions was, where do we bury him? Some people were like, let's take him to Jerusalem, all the prophets were there. Let's take him to Makkah, his hometown. Then Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, who reminded them that the Prophet ﷺ had said, wherever the soul of a prophet is taken, he should be buried right there. So right where he was sleeping, right where he passed away, right on that spot, they washed his body, did not change his clothes on top of his body, wash it down, the same clothing, because nobody could expose his body. He was a Rasul of Allah. Same body, just washed water for barakat, same spot, dig the hole, buried him. That's what you see in Medina right now. That's not online fake news. That's real right now. There was no janazah. Let me ask you guys, all of you have been to Hajj and Umrah. When you go and visit a grave down in Miami, do you go and make dua for what? Forgiveness for the person, isn't it? Isn't it? When you go to Miami or any Muslim cemetery, what do you go and do? You make dua of forgiveness for the deceased, isn't it? When you go Masjid al-Nabawi, do you make dua for the Prophet ﷺ forgiveness? No. You only send darood and salam on him. How you could ask for forgiveness for someone who has already been forgiven? That's why there was no janazah. The janazah is about asking for forgiveness, and there was no forgiveness for him. He had nothing to be forgiven for. Allah promised that his previous and past and everything would have been forgiven. So all the Sahabas, and there were big conflicts. Who did it? So there was no janazah to lead. However, there were some people who argue, yes, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam led it, this angel led it, but no. The unanimous general, but there are differences of opinion. Some say all the angels came and they prayed separately. Sahabas came, they prayed in little groups of 10, 15 because his house was very small. And everybody went in there and they were all praying. Tens of thousands of people prayed his janazah. Allahu Akbar. For days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they had 3 days. He passed away on Monday, he was buried on Wednesday evening. So some scholars say it was because they gave enough time for all the people to come. No group janazah. Everybody went in and all they gave was darood. Even till now when we go to the grave, we don't say Allah forgive the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We just Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. That's evidence that there was no janazah. There's no dua of forgiveness. It's forgiven. Anyway, I don't have time for that. We'll go on another khutbah. We'll talk a little bit how he passed away, what took place. An interesting lesson for us. Interesting lesson for us to learn about that whole